This property report is powered by realestate.com.au. Know the value of your home today. Track your property now.
Property now, and with a number of states recording more COVID-19 cases today as the virus continues to spread, just how will it affect not only those trying to buy and sell, but landlords and renters as well? Joining me is realestate.com.au's John Healy. John, good afternoon. With Sydney's lockdown now extending for another 2 weeks at least, what does it mean for the property market there?
Well, for renters, a moratorium on evictions was introduced this week. The New South Wales government on Tuesday announced a 60-day freeze on evictions for tenants whose incomes have been reduced by 25% or more as a result of the current stay-at-home orders. And for landlords who are helping their renters with rental relief, there are also some land tax rebates on offer, or a payment of up to $1,500 for landlords who aren't required to pay land tax. So that initiative is expected to lessen the impact of the lockdown on the rental market, certainly in the short term. For sellers, winter is traditionally a quieter period, but it is expected many sellers will now wait to list their property until restrictions are lifted. And that could lead to then a very busy spring selling season, provided, of course, that the current lockdown is cleared by then. And for buyers, sales will continue, but their options will be limited, and there certainly won't be the sales activity that was quite significant that Sydney was experiencing before the lockdown came into effect. And while prices are expected to continue to rise in this period, again, those price rises won't be quite as significant as they were before the lockdown. But beyond the lockdown, economists are predicting a likely return to a strong rebound of sales activity, listings volumes and prices in Sydney, as was the case in Melbourne following its near 4-month second lockdown last year.
And speaking of Melbourne, it's of course now entered a snap lockdown as well. What impact will that have on what was to be a big auction weekend?
That's right. The evolving COVID situation in Melbourne and the 5-day snap lockdown that came into effect in the city at 11:59 p.m. last night means that the Super Saturday that was on the cards for Melbourne will be impacted, of course. There were more than 1,100 homes scheduled to go to auction in Melbourne this weekend. Some of that number may have been moved forward to Thursday night auctions. Many of them will go online now, but also there'll be a number of those auctions that will likely be postponed. In Sydney, auction numbers are actually up around 38% week on week from the very low numbers that city had last weekend. So it will be another weekend of Sydney, of course, of virtual auctions again. Around the major capital cities, we're expecting just over 2,000 homes to go to auction. That's how many are scheduled. But of course, given that situation in Melbourne, it is likely that that number will be reduced slightly.
And another weekend of online-only auctions in Sydney last week. What was the outcome there and elsewhere around the country, John?
Well, clearance rates in Sydney remained very resilient last week, with an 88% clearance rate recorded for the city. And that number is a terrific result, no matter the time of year. But it was actually that city's weakest clearance rate in a month. Melbourne achieved a clearance rate just under 82% last week, which was also a very solid result, particularly given there were more than 900 homes scheduled to go to market there last weekend. Clearance rates were up slightly week on week also in Brisbane. Adelaide had its 4th weekend in a row of a clearance rate above 90%, and the ACT had its 22nd week in a row of a clearance rate above 90%. So very strong selling conditions remain in the ACT market.
And finally, there are some stunning homes on the market at the moment to take our minds off these lockdowns.
There really are the most viewed properties this week. The top 5 contain some terrific examples of some really prestige properties that are currently on the market. And this list dominated this week by homes in Victoria and South Australia. If we take a closer look now at our third most viewed home of the week, it's in William Street in Brighton in Melbourne. This is a really stunning home. It's a 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom home with a price guide of between $9.5 million and $10.2 million, and just quality fixtures and fittings and design throughout. Some terrific indoor and outdoor living opportunities and entertaining opportunities in this home. But making this home even cooler is downstairs, a section called the staycation zone, where there's a fully equipped bar and even a nightclub with its own disco. So this property is certainly not a bad one to spend a lockdown in for those buyers lucky enough to be able to seriously consider it.
A nightclub indoors? Who needs to go out, John, when you've got your own private dance party? Terrific. We'll look forward to seeing how much that one goes for. John Healy, we'll see you again next week. Thank you.